What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Let's dive right into our first news. Paddy Pimblett has responded to the backlash he received after a recent video surfaced showing him vaping, and he made it clear that he believes the criticism is being overblown. The clip, which appeared in a video on Tom Aspinall's YouTube channel, quickly made the rounds online and sparked concern among some fans. Many questioned Paddy's cardio ahead of his upcoming fight with Justin Gaethje, especially with the belief that the fight could reach the later rounds. Following the reaction, Paddy addressed the situation during an interview with Jon Jones and explained exactly why he was vaping. Paddy clarified that the video was filmed inside the gym and admitted that he does vape from time to time. According to him, it is not about habit or addiction, but about control. He explained that using a CBD vape helps him manage cravings and stop unnecessary eating, particularly during training camps. Paddy said the vape helps him stay locked in mentally and makes it easier to avoid food when cutting weight. He even joked about his preferred flavor, saying he goes with something called Summer Dream. He added that if he wants to use it during fight week, he will, because he knows what works for his body and preparation. Most importantly, Paddy pushed back against the idea that vaping is hurting his conditioning. He pointed out that his weight is actually in a better place than it has ever been at this stage of a camp. According to Paddy, this is the lightest he has been while preparing for a fight, which he sees as a positive sign. He compared it to his past camps and noted that when he fought Chandler, he was several pounds heavier at the same point in training. Paddy laughed off the criticism and suggested that the vape might even be helping rather than hurting. He emphasized that everything he is doing is calculated and focused on performing at his best when fight night arrives. While some fans remained skeptical, Paddy's response showed confidence and comfort in his routine. For him, the numbers are right, the weight is on track, and the preparation is going exactly as planned. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to support the channel. Moving on to another news, Paddy Pimblett went off on Dustin Poirier during a recent interview with TNT Sports, where he spoke bluntly about fighters announcing their retirement before their final bout. Paddy made it clear that he is not a fan of the trend and used Dustin as his main example while explaining his stance. According to Paddy, once a fighter comes out and labels a bout as a retirement fight, it adds unnecessary pressure and expectation. He said that when Dustin did this, it only made things worse for him inside the cage. Paddy claimed Dustin ended up taking a lot of damage over 5 rounds and did not look good in the process, which he believes hurt his legacy more than it helped. Paddy argued that if a fighter truly plans to retire, they should simply do it quietly instead of announcing it ahead of time. In his view, putting that label on a fight invites distractions and sets the stage for disappointment. He finished by saying that Dustin made things harder for himself and ended up looking foolish because of it. Moving on to another news, Justin Gaethje defended Dustin Poirier during a recent press conference after Paddy Pimblett disrespected the veteran fighter. Gaethje called out Paddy for being overconfident and taking shots at legends in the sport, specifically targeting Dustin. He made it clear that disrespecting someone like Poirier was unacceptable and said he would handle Paddy in the cage, promising a dominant performance on fight night. Gaethje also addressed comments about Dustin's previous fights, clarifying that he was speaking honestly about how Dustin looked against Max Holloway, not in his last bout. He emphasized that his remarks were factual and not meant to provoke drama. While acknowledging that Dustin has never been overly complimentary toward him, Gaethje made it clear that Paddy's comments crossed a line. He ended by asserting that Paddy would not be facing Dustin anytime soon, reinforcing that legends like Poirier deserve respect in the sport and that Gaethje is ready to step in and correct the narrative. Moving on to another news, Arman fired back at Paddy Pimblett's recent comments, adding another chapter to their ongoing back and forth that has been dominating MMA headlines. The latest feud started after the face-off between Justin Gaethje and Paddy, which drew attention online for Paddy's posture during the event. Many fans poked fun at him, and Arman couldn't resist joining in. Before the press conference, he tweeted a meme of Paddy's stance on X, subtly taking a shot at his rival. During the presser, Paddy called out Arman directly by name and proceeded to accuse him of copying his social media habits, specifically posting videos of himself eating. Paddy suggested that Arman was imitating him because he had no personality and was trying too hard to get attention. Arman, unfazed, reacted to the moment on X with a simple, sarcastic, "Cry me a river," showing he wasn't bothered by Paddy's jab. Moving on to another news, Dana White has finally responded to Justin Gaethje's recent comments about fighter pay, and the situation has escalated quickly. Just a day after Gaethje publicly stated that his pay did not increase following the UFC's new Paramount deal, Dana addressed the issue during an appearance on the Pat McAfee show. According to Dana, the narrative being pushed by Gaethje is missing some very important context. Dana explained that the UFC has its numbers completely dialed in. He said the promotion brought in highly skilled analysts who calculated fighter compensation to an extremely precise level, claiming they could get within single digits of what fighters would earn compared to a traditional pay-per-view structure. Dana made it clear that the UFC believes its new model is fair and competitive, and that the system is backed by detailed financial data rather than guesswork or assumptions. He then directly addressed Gaethje's comments, stating that Gaethje was actually offered more money. Dana emphasized that the issue was not the UFC refusing to pay, but rather a breakdown in communication. According to him, Gaethje and his team never picked up the phone and never responded to the offer that was put in front of them. Dana suggested that going public before handling things privately created unnecessary controversy. The UFC president also implied that these situations are best handled behind closed doors, where real numbers and real contracts are discussed. From Dana's perspective, the promotion did its part, extended an improved offer, and waited for a response that never came. The situation highlights the ongoing tension between fighters and the promotion when it comes to transparency, pay structure, and public perception, especially during major broadcast and streaming deals. Moving on to another news, Ariel Helwani reacted strongly to Dana White's response, and his frustration was clear almost immediately. Ariel said that if the letters WTF popped into people's heads, they were not alone, because the situation made very little sense on the surface. He broke down the timeline and pointed out how strange it sounded when placed side by side. One day earlier, a headliner like Justin Gaethje came out publicly and said his pay did not go up. Then, just 24 hours later, Dana White went on record and claimed the UFC actually offered Gaethje a new deal and never heard back. Ariel stressed that this was not Dana saying Gaethje negotiated poorly or left money on the table. Instead, the claim was that Gaethje simply did not respond at all. Ariel said that if this version of events is true, and he made it clear he was not calling anyone a liar because the full story is still unknown, then it would represent a massive blunder by Gaethje and his management team. At the same time, Ariel admitted he has a very hard time believing that a fighter of Gaethje's stature would receive an offer and just never reply. He went on to say that this is where the story becomes even more confusing. If an offer truly existed, why was it not properly communicated or pushed forward by management? Ariel described Dana's statement as wild and unusual, especially given the public nature of the dispute. Overall, Ariel framed the situation as messy, unclear, and damaging, with too many unanswered details and a timeline that simply does not add up. Moving on to another news. After all the controversy surrounding fighter pay, Justin Gaethje took things directly to the source and confronted the one person who publicly claimed that pay had gone up, Daniel Cormier. During an intense interview exchange, Gaethje called out DC for what he believed were misleading statements to the MMA community following the Paramount deal. Justin did not hold back, accusing Daniel of lying and pushing a narrative that did not reflect the reality for fighters like himself. Gaethje told Daniel that going out and saying fighters were getting paid more was simply not true, and that it made fighters look foolish when those claims did not match their actual contracts. He accused Daniel of speaking on something he had no real knowledge of, and questioned why he would make such statements so confidently. Daniel pushed back immediately, saying he actually did know what he was talking about, and claiming that he personally was getting paid more than he would have under previous deals. The exchange quickly became heated. Daniel insisted that he never said everybody was getting paid more, only that fighters were getting paid more in general. Justin strongly disagreed, saying Daniel clearly made it sound like every fighter benefited, which, according to Gaethje, was not the case. Justin accused Daniel of throwing fighters under the bus and making them look stupid in front of the public and the promotion. Daniel responded by saying he would never intentionally throw fighters under the bus, and stressed that he does his media work for free because he loves the sport and wants to help the fighters. Justin fired back, saying that this was exactly how people get misled, by confidently presenting opinions as facts. The back and forth highlighted a clear disconnect between fighters still competing and those now working in media roles. As the dust settled, it became clear that tensions were far from over. Later during the press conference, Gaethje shut down a reporter who attempted to ask another question about fighter pay, this time directly in front of Dana White. Surprisingly, Justin made it clear that he was done discussing money in that setting. He stated that he was only there to talk about fighting and nothing else. The moment stood out because of how sharply it contrasted with his earlier comments. After days of headlines, leaked messages, and public debates, Gaethje appeared focused on drawing a line and moving forward. Where this situation goes next remains to be seen, but the confrontation with Daniel Cormier added another explosive chapter to an already messy and highly public dispute. Moving on to another news, Strickland has responded after a heated moment involving his longtime friend and teammate Chris Curtis, and the situation quickly became one of the most talked about moments in the MMA community. The friendship between Sean and Chris has never been perfect, but it has lasted for years. They have trained together at Extreme Couture, supported each other through fights, and even shared time podcasting. Like many close relationships, though, it has gone through its share of ups and downs. The latest issue came after Sean invited Kyle Rittenhouse to train at Extreme Couture. That decision clearly did not sit well with Chris. In a video that later surfaced online, Chris confronted Sean directly, making it clear he was uncomfortable with the situation. Chris repeatedly questioned why Sean would bring someone so controversial into what he considered his home gym. He stressed that Sean knew exactly how he felt and expressed disappointment, not anger, saying he would never disrespect Sean in the same way. The exchange was emotional and tense. Chris explained that Sean was one of his best friends, which made the situation hurt even more. Sean tried to calm things down, insisting there was no malicious intent behind the invitation. Still, the disagreement highlighted how deeply personal beliefs and politics can strain even strong friendships. As the clip made the rounds online, Sean followed up with comments on X, addressing both the situation and Chris directly. Sean described Kyle Rittenhouse as a dorky kid who was placed in a bad situation by older people around him. He claimed the incident was self-defense and said the world had exaggerated the issue far beyond reality. Sean also made it clear that he cared deeply about Chris and admitted he did not think Chris would react so strongly, though he ultimately understood why he did. Sean went further, reflecting on how years of political division and media narratives have fueled anger and radicalized people on all sides. He urged fans and fighters alike to stop letting politics consume their lives, calling it a manipulation from both the right and the left. According to Sean, arguing online and firing off tweets does nothing to change the world and only creates more resentment. While Sean never issued a direct apology, his comments showed a level of understanding and respect for Chris's reaction. Many fans viewed it as the closest thing to an apology Sean was likely to give. Hopefully, this moment does not turn into a lasting rift, and the two can move past this situation, chalk it up as a mistake, and preserve a friendship that has already endured plenty of challenges. Moving on to another news, Strickland recently paid a visit to Alex Pereira and immediately pointed out just how massive the light heavyweight champion is looking right now. Sean did not hold back and joked that Alex is starting to look like a full-sized heavyweight rather than someone competing at 205. Like many fans and fighters, Sean believes this could be a sign that Alex is seriously preparing for a future move up in weight. During the visit, Sean could be heard reacting in disbelief, repeatedly saying that Alex looks like a real heavyweight. The conversation turned playful, with Sean teasing that Alex might be going for something even bigger next. The moment only added fuel to the growing speculation that Alex could eventually test himself in the heavyweight division. Sean later doubled down on those thoughts when responding to a recent photo of Alex that was posted on Instagram. Along with the image, Sean simply wrote that Alex is making history. Between his size, power, and championship success, many now believe Alex Pereira is on the verge of doing something special across multiple weight classes. Moving on to another news, regardless of where you stand on whether the UFC should share more revenue with fighters, something about this situation feels off, and the drama around Justin Gaethje continues to grow. After Gaethje's Media Day comments about fighter pay, a new twist surfaced that added even more fuel to the fire. Former lightweight Iaquinta shared a screenshot of a text message exchange he claimed to have had with Justin during negotiations for a potential fight between them. In the leaked messages, the conversation appears to show Al encouraging Justin to work together when dealing with the UFC, with the goal of securing more money for both fighters. Al pointed out that the UFC needed them to headline the card and argued that they should use that leverage. He stated that he wanted 150 to show and 50 to win to fight Justin, saying that number was not unreasonable for a main event. From Al's perspective, the UFC needed them more than they needed the UFC, and that gave them power if they stood united. Justin's responses, however, painted a different picture. He made it clear that, at the end of the day, he was on his own side. He suggested that if Al pushed too hard, the UFC would simply find someone else willing to take the fight for less money. Al pushed back, saying he was on his own side as well, but also on their side collectively, arguing that if they worked together, both fighters could come out better in the end. As the exchange continued, Justin said he had already signed what he signed and, while he always felt he deserved more, he was fine with his numbers at that moment. He told Al that it was up to his manager to secure a better deal. Al responded by saying he would put pressure on the UFC to make the fight happen, claiming it was best for both of them and that both fighters would benefit from a win. The tone of the messages then became more tense. Al urged Justin to take a stand and refuse to fight anyone else, believing that approach would force the UFC's hand. Justin rejected that idea and told Al to handle his own business. The exchange ended with lingering frustration, with Al suggesting Justin could have earned more if they had truly worked together. The leaked messages have now become a major talking point, adding context and controversy to the ongoing debate surrounding Justin Gaethje, fighter pay, and negotiations behind the scenes. Moving on to another news, Dana White has once again shut the door on the long-rumored fight between Michael Chandler and Conor, making it clear that the UFC has officially moved on. Speaking once again on the Pat McAfee show, Dana doubled down on his stance and confirmed that this matchup is no longer happening, despite years of build-up and anticipation from fans. Dana made sure to show respect to Michael Chandler, praising him heavily and calling him one of the most exciting and professional fighters on the roster. He said he could spend an entire segment talking about how great Chandler is, both as a fighter and as a representative of the sport. At the same time, Dana reiterated his admiration for Conor and everything he has done for the UFC, emphasizing that their relationship remains strong and that they still communicate regularly through text. However, Dana was firm in saying that Chandler versus Conor is simply not the direction the promotion is going in. According to him, that fight is not the plan, and the UFC has already shifted focus. Dana also confirmed that Conor is still very much in the mix for a different opportunity, revealing that he could potentially be part of the highly discussed White House card. Dana stated that Conor is definitely in the running for that event, adding more intrigue to what could be one of the most unique cards in UFC history. As for Chandler, the situation leaves him in a familiar spot. He has repeatedly raised his hand and remained ready for Conor, but with Dana's latest comments, it seems increasingly clear that waiting may no longer be an option. Meanwhile, Conor continues to fuel speculation, recently posting a teaser promo on social media that strongly hints at him fighting on the White House card. With Dana doubling down and Conor pushing forward with his own campaign, the narrative has shifted completely. The Chandler chapter appears to be closed, while Conor's next move remains one of the biggest stories in the sport. That's it from MMA Pulse News. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for your daily dose of MMA news.